Magnuson at Stamp Sunshine over on Facebook, and today I'm going to be demonstrating this masculine card. I've recently been getting requests for masculine cards, and I don't know why it seems to just be difficult to come up with masculine cards. I think most of us like to use florals and pinks and brighter colors, and we usually think of a masculine card in these more subdued colors. Now, today's card is going to feature something old and something new. And so some of the products I'm using today are retired, but there's also going to be something from our brand new annual catalog that's going to be released at the beginning of May. If you've placed an order with me, good news, you'll be receiving a catalog for free. But if you'd like to place an order with me, go over to lauriemagnuson.stampinup.net. And if you have not yet received a catalog, I'd be happy to send one out to you. Your catalog should be delivered or mailed to you very soon. All right, let's just talk first about the items, the old and new items I'm going to be using. So the stamp set here is stamped on the Wood Textures 6x6 Designer Series paper. This is a retired paper, but I often think of this paper whenever I need to make a card for a man because it's very woody and seems masculine because of the wood grain on it, I guess. But I used that paper to stamp my images here on the front, and the images were stamped with the In the Pines photopolymer stamp set. That is also retired. As far as the little bumblebee here on the front of my envelope, I used a really old but beloved stamp set called Nature Walk, and I save it, and I mainly save it for this bee, and I use it quite often on my cards. So I also used this embossing folder. It is the Evergreen Forest 3D embossing folder to get the texture on the front of this early espresso cardstock. The texture goes all the way through the card, which I thought was a unique feature of this card, even though I'm putting a layer of Very Vanilla over the inside of the card. So that we could put our sentiment on it. The embossed layer does go all the way through the inside and over to the back, and I thought that was kind of fun, that you could see it above and below the sentiment. All right, without further blabbing, I'm going to go ahead and get started on our card. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a piece of our linen thread, and I'm going to, I'd say that's probably about 18 inches. And I'm just going to tie it around this piece of cardstock that I've stamped the trees and the hello sentiment on. And just a little tip for you, one of the things I like to do, and I'll just show you, when you're trying to tie something like a linen thread around a piece of paper that's kind of wobbly, sometimes it can be hard to manage. So what I like to do is just use my Stamparatus. So I wrap my linen thread under it. I'm going to use my magnets now to hold my piece of cardstock that's been stamped on, and now I can very easily use my hands to just tie my bow without having to worry about holding on to the paper itself. The Stamparatus is doing the work for me there, and I have used this to tie bows lots of times on fronts of cards on smaller pieces of paper like this. All right, so that's very quick and easy. I'm going to set that out of the way, and you can see here now I've got that layer done. The next step is very, very easy. I'll just go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and adhere that to the front using the black dimensionals. And there's really no reason why I'm using black except that I don't use them very often. And this cardstock is early espresso and it's dark, and so I thought that it would be a good opportunity to use them. These are great for black cardstock, of course, but I thought it would be fine to use it for the brown. All right, so we're just going to pop that up right on the front of the card, somewhere where you can still see the embossing above and below. You choose where you'd like to set that. Oh, by the way, also this stamp is from a current stamp set. It's called Blossoms in Bloom, and it's here, this hello. I just thought that that was very simply written, and it looked good on the front of this masculine card. All right, so now I've got the front finished, except for the little bumblebee. Now, this bumblebee is going to be featured in our new annual catalog, and it's gold, and this is called Bumblebee Trinkets, and you get about 20 of them in here. I've used quite a bit of them already, and so look for that in the new annual catalog coming up. And I'm just going to use a glue dot and glue that right here on the front. Isn't he cute? I thought, even though it's masculine, men like bees, right? And then really the last thing I need to do is either using your Tombow liquid glue or some sort of a adhesive that is a double-sided sticky. You're just going to go ahead and put the inside part of the card down. Okay, then you're just going to center it, and that's how quickly this card came together. I do want to show you a tip about doing the embossing folder on the front of a card base like this. And by the way, I tied this one in a bow, and this one I just kind of tied with more of a rustic looking cut piece of twine, you know, linen twine in there like that. All right, great. Now I'm going to show you the tip I was talking about for the embossing folder. I found a little tip for you, those of you who would like to use this embossing folder with a vertical view with the trees facing up. So what I did was I decided that I would go ahead and try running it through with the card folded first, because I wanted to use a piece of whole brown cardstock as my card base. So I just put in the colored paper inside the embossing folder, and I can still run it through with the fold first, which is what the manufacturer recommends. The one thing that I did do was I did not use either of the tabs, so I'm going to go ahead and put the orientation where my fold is going through first. I'm going to use my blue plate, and I'm not going to use any of the tabs. And because this is Stampin' Up paper, being that it's cardstock, it's a little thicker, so I'm going to get the thickness that I need to make my embossing come out good. All right, so there's the front of it. And it's a little bit different in that I'm going to have embossing all the way through the inside, but I don't really mind it. I think it adds some interest to the card. And then when I go ahead and put my card together, I'm going to be able to see that embossing on the front of the card.